Alrighty, so we have Miss Rosey here, and she is young lab puppy, but basically what this video is application of prong collar on a walk. So when you're taking off for your regular walk, this is a structured walk, so there's no sniffing, no marking, no, nothing except paying attention to you in a nice heel. So the point of this is there's a time and a place to sniff around and be crazy, and we made a video of that this morning. We have our other couple dogs out with us to help us out as a distraction, just two, but this is where we are going to be slowing our body, teaching her to become in tune with us. This dog, for instance, if you are pushing a stroller or a shopping cart or anything, have your hands full and you still have a dog, eventually they will be off leash trained. But if you're walking down the street, they need to be on leash. So if you have a dog, you don't want them chasing a lizard or reacting to every dog that walks by. So the point of this is, these are little corrections. I'm asking her to sit here politely next to me rather than yanking me around and pulling the leash out of my hand. So this is impulse control on her part, teaching her, hey, don't worry about anything else except me and what we're doing. So on our walk, our leash should be loose. Good girl, no. Good, and even there, she's already starting to move forward because she knows Bonnie has one of her favorite little bones over there. And Rosey and her normally play the game of running around and being crazy and chasing each other for that bone. So she's already not focused on me. She's giving me some attention, but her mind is over there playing with Bonnie. So that's the reason I brought these dogs, is because they're gonna act like every person walking down the street. They're gonna act like another dog passing them. Obviously she knows these dogs, so it's not new. These aren't dogs who are lunging and pulling on their leash towards her, which is always harder. But these dogs are running around and playing with each other. So Rosey is definitely getting excited, and we're gonna use little corrections there. She's very tough on this collar. She's just a very dull dog. But anytime that she's gonna get excited or get out of heel position, I'm gonna be using those pops on her. So the two communicators on a prong collar that we like to use are pops and pressure. So pressure is anything that I'm just slowly adding pressure to my stop or my sit. I can add pressure up. Rosey, down. Ask her to down. She's distracted, so I gotta add a little bit more pressure, move my body a little bit. Rosey, get her focus. Down. No. Down. Good. So you saw how easy in our last video this was in the house. So I'm gonna ask for Bonnie, no. Rosey, no. Down. So I'm advocating for Rosey a little bit. I'm not gonna let Bonnie come up and sniff her. Down. Good. So if I need to, I'll step on my leash to help her out. But this is really hard for her. Hey. Good. So her sniffing the ground and all that stuff, it's the escalation to her getting up. So asking her to just leave everything alone and relax. Then later we can add in sniffing. It's not that big of a deal. People are saying like, oh, she can't sniff. Right now, it's so hard for her to sit still and do this that that's gonna make it even harder on her. So I'm trying to make it as easy as possible on this puppy to have her be calm and relaxed and just let the world go on by. So in our video of our training drills inside with low distractions, this is, this is very different. No, good, down. So a little pop for that getting up. I mark it with no, give her a pop, which is a little correction, and then use the pressure to get her to go back into that down. If I need to, I can drop my leash and step on it and help her out here. So if she does get up, say I'm talking to a friend or whatever, someone I see on the street, I can step on that leash. Not enough to put pressure on it, but if she does get up, it's gonna be an automatic little correction and a reminder to get back down. Good girl. Good. But if I'm stepping on my leash, obviously I can't use these little communicators. So, this is adding a lot of distraction. Good girl. And then when she's offering me that engagement, I'm going to take that as like, okay, she's here, she's settled, we're good. Let's go. Good. No. And even when I say let's go, there's that little bit of excitement because the dog started moving forward. Good. But I want her at my pace, at my side. I'm slowing my body a little bit on those corrections. I don't want her slowing down or speeding up. And this is strict, you guys. This is really strict for this puppy because we can't have her, you know, 60, 70 pounds lunging at other dogs on the leash. So each time Bonnie walks by and she gets excited, there's communicators and little corrections. Good. So you can see I have a big pop. Oh, good girl. Forgot to let her pee first. I have a big pop. Good girl, that's a big pee. I know, we drank a lot of water after playing this morning. Earl, no. Bonnie. They're sniffing over there.
Looked like maybe it could have been a snake or something. The way he was looking at it. Very suspicious.
Good, so perfect example, having the communication with your dogs of leave that alone. It might be something dangerous. Probably not. We don't have too many snakes around here, but it's also early in the morning. We're looking at this drain. So you're gonna have to give these communicators maybe 300 times on your walk, but it's just slowing your body, giving a little bit of communication on that leash, and slowing her down with you. You can practice your sits. Good girl. Rosey, down. Down. No, down. So I gotta have her focus. Down. Good. She really doesn't want to do this right now. She would much rather be walking in the direction of those dogs. No. Hey. Good girl. I love that she adjusted over on her hip, gave me that engagement. Let's go. Good. So that's the release is let's go. But she's so hopeful that she's going to get down to those dogs that she is so eager. So she doesn't want to lie down when I ask her. Sitting is, okay, I'll do that. But the down is like,
That's too much.
Good. So when it's challenging for your dog, gauge the, challenge for them. Down. No. Down. Good. So each time it's getting a little bit easier because she's like, okay, if I just listen. Oh, we got a car coming. Earl, come here.
Just get out of the driveway.
Earl. Good girl. So each time it's getting a little bit easier. They look lost. Each time it's getting a little bit easier. No. Because we just keep doing it. Through that repetition, it's going to get easier and easier. Now, if you're in an area where it's too hard for your dog to down, or they're too overstimulated or whatever, go back a step and just know that with time, this is just a 6-month-old puppy. She still has a lot of time to make things better. We're working on it, and that's why there's so much repetition, so much follow-through, all of that stuff with her. No. She's still very excited about these dogs. So this is almost too much for her. We're in a position where we can do it. Also, getting off of the concrete or the asphalt and going on to the grass or the dirt. There's so many more smells and excitement and all that stuff, so it's harder for her to pay attention. So practice this stuff in low distraction areas. If a dog walks by and she's getting too excited about it, do your little corrections as you can. But let the dog pass and say, you know what? Oh, good girl. Now we're pooping. See? Should have done all this stuff before our walk.
She just pooped and peed already this morning, but she's a puppy and she's got to go again. All that running around with her friends, huh? Good girl.
So short my leash back up. All this tail wagging and excitement, there's a time and a place. Again, you guys, she had her socialization in the morning. She was running around with the puppies and having a good time already. This is a structured walk. We can't have that stuff. This is why she's in training. This is all just understanding and relationship building and impulse control and all that. Okay. So I always know if my dog is too far ahead of me by if I do an inward turn, which is turning into them. She's on my left side, so I'm going to be making a turn to the left. If I'm running into my dog, she kind of ran into me, but say she's here. If I turn left, I'm running into her. So her nose should be at my leg, or even a little bit behind. Good. So that you're almost leading her walk. Good. And when we turn, I'm turning her nose with my leg instead of running into her body and having to push her out of the way. Gonna trip on flat ground. Good girl. Good. So when I'm on my walk and I stop and do a couple turns like this, it's actually gaining her focus a little bit more than the dogs aren't moving around. She knows that we're just walking back and forth. Rosey, sit. Good. Down. No. Down. No. Down. Good. No. Good. So each time she looks over at what Bonnie's doing, that's a no. No. Rosey, no. Hey. Good. And the follow through, I asked her once, we need to make sure that she's actually listening to that. If I pull on this prong collar and there's no change in her, good. We're teaching the dog to ignore that sensation, and we have to become harder on this dog. Good. So all of this focus, that's the distraction that we're going to cut through later. That's the stuff that we're still working on with her. She's still a puppy. She's learning and figuring it out. But I always ask people, okay, yes, your dog's in a sit, your dog is in a down, where's their mind? Is it running around and jumping out of their skin, or is it relaxed and calm? So you really, come on, Rosey, good. You really want to make sure, no, good. So there was a little bit too much excitement because the other dog was running down the hill. Good. No, okay. And right now it's just micromanaging all these little steps. Don't worry about the smell on my leg. Don't worry about what the dog is chewing on over there. Don't worry about the bird over there. Don't worry about the butterfly. It's just pay attention to what I'm doing. Good. Rosey, sit. Good. Down. No. Down. No. Good. So those no's are little pops, and then the pressure is for the down. Good girl. Good. Let's go. When she gives me that engagement with her eyes, Bonnie, that's extremely distracting. No. No. Good. So another dog comes up, you just, let's go, keep walking. Don't let her get away with that stuff. Don't let her meet every single dog, every single person, because she'll get in the habit of, oh, I get to meet every dog. So then she's lunging and pulling to go and meet every dog. If you have her stop and sit, and then give her the release to go and say hello or investigate, okay, good, good. And go say hi to that dog, that's great. I'm not big on on-leash meetings. Don't mind the giant bone that they're chewing on. I'm not big on on-leash meetings. Rosey, come on. Good. So I asked her to come on. We make it happen. That's dog training. Good girl. Good. But if you have a dog that's friendly and people are going to let him meet on leash and all that stuff, if you're going to do it, there's a way to do it. So having them stop and sit calmly before, and then releasing them to go and say hello is the way to do it. If your dog is pulling and yanking and all excited to go and meet that other dog, you don't necessarily want to reinforce that behavior by letting them do that. So remember, whatever we're allowing them to do, we're training them to do. Good girl. We're training our dogs whether we like it or not. We want to make sure that it's all the good stuff. Good girl. Good. Rosey, sit. Good. Down. No. Good. No. Down. So there she was on her way into it and then got distracted about stick or dog or whatever. So there was a little bit of no and then a reminder again. Good girl. Let's go. Good. No. And so if I had more treats and more engagement, that's where your training drills, down, and low distractions when you're using treats are gonna come in handy. Good girl, Rosey. Good, let's go. But right now, for one, it'd be too many things for me to juggle, and you don't need to feed a bunch of treats to this dog's state of mind. So when you're working in the front of the yard or the driveway or anything like that, use your treats, reinforce the good stuff. But when you're on a walk, you don't necessarily need to do all that. Good girl. Rosey, sit. Good. Down. Good. So there, I barely even put any pressure. It was just my hand moving forward and the word, good girl. Let's go. So the more you do it, in the beginning, it's always harder. Down. No. There's your dog closer, so it's harder. Down. No. Down. Good girl. Good. No. Good. Let's go. No. So I'm slowing my body, and if she doesn't slow right there with me, I'm using that leash to help her out. Rosey, no. Down. So if I have her attention before I ask, she's much more likely to go into it easily. If I don't have her focus her attention, hey, good. Good girl. Good, let's go. It's gonna be harder for her to do that. When I'm faced away from the dogs, she's more likely to go into it. Sit. Good, down. She's giving me more focus, but now, you know, the Jerry is more excited than I am. Let's go. Good. Good. So our other video was with treats and low distraction. This is much higher distraction. Good. Rosey, down. No. Down. So the dog is moving away with the bone now, and so now it's a lot harder. Down. So the littlest change can make it harder on your dog, but you're still going to follow through and ask them to do it. Good. Good girl. We can see if we can get this hip towards me. Down. Rosey. Good. There's a good girl. Good. So I stepped on my leash to help myself out to get her facing me instead of facing the other dogs. No. Good. Let's go. You guys, it's not always fun for these dogs to do this. We make it as enjoyable as possible, but yes, of course she'd rather be running around, not listening to what she's being asked, and be with the other dogs. For one, she already did that this morning. For two, freedom and all of those things, chewing on bones and all that stuff, it's all earned. So right now it's a time to work. It's just like kids at school. They have a time for recess and they get to run around and play. There's still rules with that, but there's a time for free time and you get to do choice classes and whatever you want. There's also a time to sit down and do the homework. So, or schoolwork, I suppose, and homework. Rosey, down. So you've got to teach them, hey, there's a time and a place to run around and be crazy. And there's also a time
To listen to what the teacher has to say.
Good girl. Good. And privileges and freedom are earned. So these dogs, I have control over them. They can be off leash, and then when I need to call them back over, Rosey's not to that point. She would run over there and I'd call her back and she'd be gone. Her ears turn off. So this is what you do to get to that point. No. Good.
Earl, what are you doing? You get a foxtail on your nose or just something?
Earl, come here. Lie down.
Good.
Okay, go. Earl, come. Good. Lie down. Good boy. Okay. Bonnie. Come on. Bonnie needs a little help because she's pulling off the bone. Good girl.
Oh, yeah.
Bonnie, come here. Bonnie. No. Good. Down. Good. Good girl. Rosey, no. Good girl. Okay. So Bonnie is still a puppy. She just turned a year old, or she's still a young dog. She's not a puppy. But she's also a different breed. Cattle dogs want to work for you, typically. Bulldogs and mastiffs, they're a little bit more independent. So she still needs help. She hasn't patterned it enough. She hasn't patterned listening enough and making it happen every single time in order for me not to help her out still. And don't get me wrong, Earl still needs help, don't ya? But he's almost 3 years old. We've been working at this for a while. So the time that Rosey's been here is a drop in the bucket of her life. And that's why you train them. It's an investment in the rest of their life. All right, you guys, this video is long, but this is the application of walking on a leash. Your leash should be loose and short. So as soon as they get out of that little heel box, you can give them gentle reminders. Come on, dogs. Bonnie. Come on. Because I really don't want to leave this bone. Good girl. So that's the freedom that they are granted when they're trained. They get to go and chew on bones and be off leash and play around. Earl, Bonnie, wait. Coming up to a road, so I need to get them to wait. Good. You guys wait. Rosey will be running around and listening with the pack very soon. But right now, it's just the foundation work. We're just working on all of our beginning stuff. Hey, girl, no. So she goes to try to put her nose down or look over there or pull on my leash. There's going to be a correction for that. Good. But your leash should be loose. There should never be tension on this leash unless you are asking your dog to do something.
Get early. Get her early. Go.
Have a good time. Bonnie, no. Earl, no. Hey, no. So I had to back myself up because they didn't listen.
Okay, go. Go, go, go.
I know, Rosey. You got to do that this morning.
But right now it's working time.
So you guys, I'm just creating distractions for myself.
Good girl.
Good girl. So again, the biggest thing about prong collar is follow through and making sure that if you are asking them to do something on the collar, that there's an actual change in the dog, both physically and hopefully state of mind as well. So control the body, the mind will follow. That's what Mr. Sean O'Shea says from The Good Dog. And it's very true. It's like meditation for people. So follow through, making sure that there's a change, understanding the gauging on your pops and your pressure, and making sure your leash is loose until you need to ask the dog to do something. So if I'm walking around like this with pressure on that leash, she's like, what are you asking me to do? It's not good. All right, you guys, we'll talk to you soon. Rosey, no.